Namaste and greetings from the Center for Soft Power. It's such a privilege to have with us the Consul General of Italy. Thank you so much, sir, for having this conversation with us. The Center for Soft Power is a vertical of Indic Academy that looks at soft power relationships between India and other non-Indian countries. So I just happened to glance at this book, Italy and India 2020-2023, and it says that in terms of hard power or economics, the business between the two countries has grown from 7.4 billion to almost 15 billion euros. That's double. That's tremendous. And some of the key sectors which for bilateral relations are defense, security, connectivity, energy, transition, space, cybersecurity, culture and mobility. So we would like this conversation between us to be focused on culture because it's about soft power. I just happened to visit NGMA last weekend and I saw your note there on that beautiful painting of Magdalene and Ecstasy, and you talk about culture and beauty being universal. Could you talk to us about how, cultures that are very distinct but can also meet somewhere in between because of soft power and your experiences here?
Yes, I mean, your question is very articulated. I don't know if I would put soft power in the same phrase as culture to meet. I think for me these are probably two different approaches to bilateral relations in terms of culture. In a way, Italy is very strong in soft power because like a little bit like the US have been for other things, movies mostly, economy. We are known for food, for fashion, for furniture, for Ferrari, the so-called 3 or 4F. Even though eventually what we mostly export and trade is precision mechanics and manufacturing. Even in India, almost 50% of our trade is machines. So we produce. We have a production very similar to that of Germany, for example. Germany is the first manufacturer in Europe, and Italy is the second manufacturer in Europe. But we are famous for the rest, which is also all well and good. We are happy to be known for our soft power in this way, and people tend to associate Italy to music, pleasure, good weather. That's very, very good. So when we exert our, let's say, our soft power, it's trying to leverage these good feelings that you have towards Italy as a complex in terms of to use them for Indians to understand or to get closer to Italy through good feelings in a way. I don't know how best to explain this. Like you wear a nice dress to go to visit somebody. Of course, this is the first business card that you have. But what I was mentioning in my little introduction to the exhibition is that in general, I believe that beauty, and particularly when it's very of high level, unify people in a way that is pretty unique, in the sense that culture tends to often to be used to define people. So this is my culture, this is your culture. And this is what somehow soft power is. What is Italian soft power, what is French soft power, or Indian soft power? But at the same time, for me, beauty and culture, when is appreciated, when there's curiosity towards each other's culture, tends to unite people more than to distantiate them. So it's let's say two sides of the same medal. But I thought that I mean we are investing a lot in culture in India because again we think that it's a good tool to make Italy be known and at the same time to get our countries together, our peoples together.
Thank you. And you started your career as a fellow journalist, I think. So I'm sure you have an eye for documenting and a sense of what's important and, in any situation. So how has your transition in your own career from journalism to a diplomat, how has it propelled your curiosity? In your checkered career, you've gone to places in South Africa, you've been to your other positions, Philippines, I think. So how does India, where does it feature? You have 3 days left here. So what memories are you taking back both as a documenter of this relationship? and a
it's really
diplomat.
impossible to condensate 3 years of India in 3 days. And I mean, I don't want to make injustice to any other countries that I visited, which I love in different ways. But it's undeniable that India is the country which invested me with the richest heritage. Since my first days here, I was appointed for a brief time in Calcutta 5 years ago for a brief mission that was supposed to be 1 month. It became 5 months because there was COVID in the middle. So I got stuck there. And I just fell in love with India, with its colors, with its clothes, history, monuments, perfumes, etc. So then I worked, tried to come back. And then I actually supported the case for the opening of a Consulate General here in Bengaluru because of mostly economic reasons. And I admitted when I arrived in Bengaluru, I was almost a little bit disappointed because I'm very much into culture. I'm a very curious person. And Bengaluru offers a little bit less of India from that point of view. Then, of course, professionally, it's been amazing. And in general, the weather is very pleasant. The people are very welcoming. But the India that I fell in love with is somewhere else. It's in Varanasi, it's in Calcutta, it's in Mumbai, it's in Madurai. So I kept traveling and visiting India as much as possible. Last trip I came back 2 days ago from Ladakh. That felt really like another country, I have to say. First time in India that they don't do much the headshake, or in general, Tibetan root language. But still, they identify very much as Indians. Coming back to you, how to... It's difficult, really, to say which memories I bring with me. Maybe something that is very across places is a sense of kindness of the people, of welcoming, of acceptance. I mean, I'm not silly, so I know that probably my position helps. To a certain extent, also the fact that I'm European. But I think it's beyond that. In general, really people are very affectionate. I'm leaving now, so there's not much I can do for the people now. And every day I have visits, so we have been invited to farewells. People are very warm, very, as I said, very kind, very flexible. That goes beyond the Jugad thing. It's really like we want to make something possible. And this in Bangalore, for example, was very prevalent, this feeling. So, yeah, a general sense of richness of your ancestry, your culture, and of welcome, and also potential for the future. I mean, India is on the rise, your soft power is more and more felt, your economy is more and more felt, and your diversity is also a richness, which I believe that will be more and more encouraged, I hope.
Yeah, very kind of.
Did you get a chance to visit South Bangalore?
I spent my first Sundays in my first months here just wondering about Basmanagudi, Jayanagar, Chikpet, Malleshwaram, you name it, Lalbagh, and I mean, I visited Bangalore left and right, I have to say. Of course, Electronic City, Whitefield, Pigna for professional reasons, etc. But I was scavenging a little bit into the old Bangalore too. But still, you cannot compare it to Calcutta, to Delhi, to Mumbai. Yeah, it's a bit of a pity because in this way, at least, we've been here 3 years. We had many friends visiting. Then they arrive and you say, yeah, you have to go to Mumbai, you have to go to Delhi. No, there's not so much they can see in Bangalore, except a couple of very good museums, and in general, a lot of interesting people that you can meet. But maybe culturally, it's not the capital of India. It's the capital of IT, it's the capital of other things, startups, space.
But maybe I have to agree a little bit. I have another question. When you come and you stay as a consul, how close do you ever have a relationship with locals here? I mean, I have traveled a bit and I have been in the US where I had very good Italian friends. And what really struck me as a commonality between the Italians and us was that sense of family. Yeah, because looking at the other European people in the US, it was the Italians that were very strong about family compared to any of the other countries. I mean,
Yes, surely more yes than no. Of course, it's not exactly overlapping. I think that the family in India maybe it's more similar, take it in a good way, to what was family in Italy 50 years ago. You know, where the family was more enlarged, also with the cousins, the auntie, the etc., and also had a bit more social pressure on the persons of what to do, who to meet, who to marry. Of course, Italy is still Southern Europe. We have relatively conservative values. But I can imagine that India in 50 years, maybe the number of arranged marriage will decrease a little bit. Maybe people will be, it's a little bit of a process towards, let's call it liberality. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just a change that happens because the world is more and more interconnected. People see on Instagram and everywhere what other people do. And they will become a little bit less lenient to accept what your parents say in terms of what you have to do. And of course, there's good and bad in this. But I do believe that some very positive values of family in terms of being the fundamental cell of society are very similar. And so being together around meals, being together in important occasions, respect for elderlies, acceptance for young kids, those are important. But for example, in Italy, we're having already since a few decades less and less kids. And you can see this in all the developed world, but now you can see this also in India, which I was very surprised last year to read that India is already below replacement rate at an average. Of course, in the north of India, you have a little bit more, in the south less. So the world is homogenizing a little bit. Yeah. So in this way, we are getting closer together. We are losing a little bit of specialities.
I guess that's the only thing that's for sure, the change. And then she was talking about what you'd written about beauty. Mm-hmm. So it brings to mind a verse from the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that I am the essence of beauty. Mm-hmm. So that goes beyond the confines of anything. It's just that essence, which is common to everybody, I think. So I think that's what you were also talking about.
I mean, I'm not a pandit, I don't want to quote the Gita. I read the Gita, I read a couple of interpretations of the Gita. I'm actually currently reading the Patnaik Gita, so I have a bit of experience in that beautiful piece of literature, but who am I to quote it? Let's say, even though, yes, I am an appreciator of beauty in general, I think that it can have a positive influence on the individual and on society in general. When you say that the essence of beauty is in everybody, is maybe the same or a similar way to approach something as when you say that a little bit of Atman is a little bit of Brahman in everybody, and then the Namaste, I salute the divine on you. And so finding a little piece of essence of beauty which is shared, fragmented in every human being, I think this is, and it's not just aesthetic beauty. Kindness to me is beauty. Gentleness is beauty. Love can be beautiful. So it's not an aesthetic beauty. Aesthetic beauty, of course, is pleasant, but in general, as human beings, we are attracted to what is beautiful, and I think it's something that we can follow without problem.
You recently released a documentary about the travelers of Italians who, in age-old, visited Hampi and Vijayanagara. So I think it was Marco Polo and then Niccolo Conti. So would you like to tell us a bit about that?
About how it came along, or about, without being rhetorical, but wanted to be a little bit of a gift to India. I was in an event with a senior politicians from Karnataka, and there were some pictures. It was a tourism event. There were some pictures of India and of Hampi. So I mentioned to him, I went to Hampi, it was so beautiful, and there were so little tourists, so it was so beautiful to see. And he was commenting me, yes, I know, Hampi is not so famous in the world like Pompeii or like Angkor Wat, so we need to attract more and more people there. And so I kept with this idea in mind and was thinking, how can we do that? So I did a little bit of research, and first I found out that the first European who ever set foot in the Vijayanagar Empire was an Italian, Niccolo de' Conti, who reported extensively about the richness, the diversity of that place. So I contacted a production house and we started discussing. I said, you know what, maybe we can do a little documentary about this thing. We need, we're discussing that we need a little bit more, maybe let's talk about the spices, because Niccolo de' Conti is not so famous. So I searched a little bit more, and luckily now with Google and ChatGPT, whatever, is not so difficult. And I found out that Marco Polo, who is very famous for his travels to China, on the way back he stopped in India, in the south of India. Not something that people tend to know. If you ask about Marco Polo, they say, yeah, it's an Italian traveler that went to Mongolia and China. But he went also to India and reported also regarding India. There's even a little statue, alt relief on a church of his face, if you see the documentary. So we said, well, okay, both explorers are from Venice. Both came to India in a distance of 150 years, more or less. So let's do something like India through the eyes of these Venetians. That was the first title. Then it was changed in the India they saw. And so yeah, we put together a budget, of course something small. We are not a production house, we are a consulate. And I requested some funds from Italy, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, explaining the project, because of course with Italian taxpayers' money I cannot produce a documentary on India. Must underline the relations between Italy and India and how these relations shaped the way India is perceived in Europe, in Italy, etc. So they appreciated it. They gave me some funds that were not enough. So I reached out to the private sector. I got some more funds, and then we produced it. We presented it a few weeks ago. Today I received a formal interest, but it's not yet signed, let's say. But I proposed it to a couple of airlines because I think it's the perfect content for infotainment. You're traveling, particularly between the two countries. If you're traveling from Italy to India, half-an-hour documentary on Marco Polo in India is perfect. We'll be very happy to give them for free. We don't need to make money out of it. We just want to circulate it as much as possible. So coming back to that meeting with the politician, I hope that in 5 years' time, at least a few hundreds, if not thousands, of tourists that will visit Hampi will be thanks to this.
So what was Hampi through their eyes? What exactly did they see that we can't see anymore now?
Well, you should ask them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the producer was explaining in one of the interviews that it's difficult to recreate the grandeur of Hampi now that it's in ruins. It's like making a movie on Pompeii, and now you only have the remains of it. So we had to use also a lot of computer graphic to recreate the gold, the armies of elephants, etc. Because unless you have millions to spend in extras, etc. So they saw a place which was very rich, considering that they were coming from Italian Renaissance. They were not coming from the most remote corner of some mountains. So they have seen Florence, Venice, that were important centers. So they arrived here and they marveled of how these cities were developed. But also they marveled at, particularly Marco Polo, at two things that struck me. One is, of course, religious coexistence and tolerance between the various religions in southern India, but also on the fact that apparently at the time, darker skin was privileged over light skin. And people with lighter skin used to use oils to make it darker. And he says they paint their idols, their gods, dark, and their ghosts are white. So it's very interesting how this changed over the century, and now you have more on the brighter, brightening creams, etc. I personally love the Indian skin tone. My party is always jealous of the fact that Indians don't have wrinkles, and they are very, the skin is very beautiful. So it was interesting to see also this and how it changed a little bit in the centuries.
Yeah, thank you. We have a few associates in universities in Italy. And there are two streams of opinion that comes. One is the practitioners of yoga and Sanskrit who have learned from gurus who have visited Italy.
Yeah.
And the other is the Indology departments in universities in Italy who have a very rigorous and more scholarly approach to yoga and Sanskrit and the Vedanta and Indian philosophy. So in your experience in India, where do the practitioner and the scholar, which approach do you think actually represents, or would you need to actually come to India and experience what they're talking about or learning about to actually get the essence of that knowledge?
In general, I think that the key in understanding anything is curiosity. And I believe in layers and levels in everything. So we just closed this Magdalena Inestes exhibition of a Caravaggio painting. Anybody can appreciate Caravaggio. You go there, you just enjoy. It's a moment of bliss. It's almost like a Polaroid of theatrical ecstasy. Of course, if you know Baroque painting, if you know a little bit of technique, you can read more layers, no? And I think that this is really the quality of masterpieces is when you can reach the widest public, maintaining quality in your content. I believe it's relatively easy to make very good music which only 5 people listen to, because it's too complicated. I personally like people like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, where everybody was mad about them, but also their songs were interesting. Or I don't know, Kubrick, somebody who makes good movies which are also layered, and you can reach them at different level. I think that India also can be read at various levels. You can just arrive here without reading anything and have a long stroll in Colaba and just take pictures of the temple, the incense, the mangoes, the prayers, and just marvel of what you see aesthetically. Of course, the more you go deep, the more you appreciate. The India I see now is different from the India after reading a few tens of books regarding India. Is different from what I saw 3 years ago when I arrived. Mentioning your reference to Indology, I have a very good friend in Varanasi who is a Hindi scholar. And so at the beginning I was studying Hindi, then I left it because in Bengaluru it's not so relevant, unfortunately, but I was liking it. His way of approaching it through the alphabet, etc. I might mention that I recently got engaged with my partner, and inside the ring, I wrote something in Sanskrit.
Oh man, how lovely!
I had an idea, and I talked with a Sanskritist from the School of Indian Studies in Venice. So we came together with a phrase. When Sanskrit is like German, no? You put together words and become one long. India can be approached at 1,000 levels. I hope I'm a little bit in the middle, but there's a lot to read more beyond before you reach that you reach a high point.
When you have only 3 days left here.
My pleasure. I owe a lot to India, so the least I can do is devolving a little bit of time. And this is, of course, is the house of the Italians, but it's the house of what we call Friends of Italy. No. So you are surely friends of Italy, and so this place is to all of you and those who are interested in our bilateral relations.
Yeah, we had a very good trip to Italy. We went to the glass-blowing place in Venice, and
yeah, there's Indians tend to love Italy. Now, in general, it's relatively easy to do my job coming from Italy because coming back to the soft power, it opens door. If you say, I'm coming from Italy, immediately it's a smile. So then you start from a good point, and then you can discuss business. I don't want to make comparison to any other country because it would be unjust, and often it's due to the fact that maybe these countries are not known. But if you know a country that is very little known or maybe very cold, I don't know, it's not the same reaction. So this helps, and for me will always be the same for India. Anytime I will meet any Indian person around the world, my heart will open a little bit.
Thank you so much for the lovely conversation. Wishing you all the best in your next assignment and in your personal life as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So happy that you had a good time here.
Thank you. Dhanyawad. Namaste.
Dhanyawad.